How you doing, everybody? It's Wardy here, and I got some breaking news to break down for all you amazing Mets fans. First chiming in here, as yes, over the past couple hours, David Stearns is already getting set to make moves on a major league contract, the first MLB signing the Mets are doing this offseason here, because they did a minor league contract sign a couple days ago. This is the first legit one that has everything to do with veteran right-hander. Yes, a guy that I'm really excited to get into because he could be utilized in various ways for the Mets for 2025, and that is none other than, yes, Dylan Covey. I want to see your initial reactions in the comments down below, everybody, because I know the common consensus is, Wardy, who the heck is this guy? Don't worry, I got you covered. We're going to break down everything to a T here in just a second on everything that there is to know about Covey's game, why David Stearns was so quick to sign this man as soon as free agency officially began here for Major League Baseball, and ultimately his potential impact for the Mets for 2025 and beyond. But before we get into anything else, everybody, make sure to smash a like and subscribe on me if you haven't already. Let me know your initial reactions if you know anything about Covey before we break him down in the comments down below. Would love to hear it. And as always, shout out to our amazing sponsor at BetUS that has you covered with all your sports betting needs. Check them out today, folks, by going to betus.com.pa. That way you too can use Wardy's promo code YouTube150. That way you too get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, $125 on your second and your third, up to $2,000 for all your sports betting needs. And folks, I'm so pumped up to get into this one because I know you're going to say, Wardy, I get it. We love David Stearns, but this is another one of those pickups where you look at the career ERA and there's nothing to be interested about. A 6 career ERA, this guy's a bum. He's a has-been. He's out here. He's nothing. I'm here to tell you right here, right now, that if you guys simply paid at all any attention to David Stearns' first year with the Mets, then you should know by now that this is expected. You're going to see a lot of starters/relievers picked up, and yes, he is both a starter and reliever. This is a swingman. You got Trevor Williams vibes in one avenue. You got Reed Garrett vibes in another one. Looking at the Arsenal bit, which I'm going to break down here in a second. But ultimately, what the Mets got here in Dylan Covey is a very interesting and intriguing option that has everything to do with David Stearns' philosophy. Stearns is not going to be overspending for a lot of big relievers this offseason. He's not the type to do that for obvious reasons. Relievers are fickle, and it's better to have a pitching lab in-house from Port St. Lucie to all the way up there to Germany, half near there, and Flushing, Queens, to get the best out of your players, and in this case, pitchers specifically. We all saw how much Mets pitchers really rose throughout the course of the 162. A lot of them blossoming that went from nothing to something, including guys like Reed Garrett, who had an immediate impact, Daniel Nunez, just to name a few there, even in a small sample size, Sean Reed fully up until his injury. Just talking about lesser guys that you probably didn't think of too much heading into the season. And then you have Sean Manaea's great arm slot change throughout the course of the season. Severino staying consistent. Jose Quintana going up and down, but still fortifying himself greatly when the year was all said and done. There was a lot of great positives and takeaways with Mets pitching. As up and down as it was in 2024, it's only going to be better and then some for 2025. And Dylan Covey, a couple key things I love so much about him right away. As you see here from the SNY Mets graphic, he's been all over the place. You know, he did not pitch at all in 2024 at the major league level because he was out there dominating at the minor league level there for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, which is right around the corner from me. If you guys know, I reside in PA as a Mets fan. So to all my PA Mets fans, appreciate you guys. Hopefully I'll see you guys there at the park sometime next season when they're playing the Syracuse Mets, for example. But either way, to get back out of that tangent here, Covey had himself a very strong season. 17 starts as a starter there in AAA, a 1.35 ERA. We're going to break down more numbers in a second. He's got the sinker that's sitting right around 95. He's got the slide piece. He's got the splitty, and he has the cutter. That arsenal alone is where you see similarities to one in Reed Garrett, because as we're going to break down in a second from my man Isaac Ruppin, he has a bit to say there on that sinker in particular and how he goes about throwing it. But as you see, he's been all over the place. Not only there we saw with the Phillies in 2023 with a very respectable 3.77 ERA across 29 games with the Phillies and one other organization. He started his career in 2017 to 2019 with the White Sox, which he had actually one really good performance against Chris Sale when Sale was already dealt there to Boston, which is nuts. Saw that all the way back 6 years ago now. Covey was initially a heralded prospect. Things have changed over the years as he's still trying to figure out, was he going to be at the major league level? Since then, he's been all over the place with teams like the Red Sox and even, yes, in China from 2021 to 2022. So Covey has now found himself here in Queens with the Mets. I'm here to tell you we should not be denying or doubting David Stearns whatsoever at this point. If you guys are doubting David Stearns and his pickups, I'm genuinely questioning as to why you're doing that. Because yes, Stearns did not hit on every single mark. He missed on the mark on a couple for sure, and the Deekmans and the Hausers, etc. But it's all about adjusting. And Stearns has shown that willingness to properly adjust the bullpen quickly and make harsh moves like Yohan Ramirez, Michael Tonkin right away. We know that's going to happen. Now you enter a guy that has the stuff similar to Reed Garrett, where, especially depending on how much he utilizes that cutter, if he goes more so on the sinker, splitter, slider, the triple S as I love to call him, that 3-pitch mix, that's where you get more of that Reed Garrett-S arsenal potentially on what you're hoping. Not as much velocity there as he's sitting around 95 on the sinker, but still solid stuff. What we also saw is not only how dominant he was in AAA this past year, but how that sinker is profiling, because as my man Isaac Rothman said it best, he has a high release point sinker. He's a high release point sinker baller, simply put. You know, we've seen in small sample sizes, but when you look at the cutter and the splitter, they graded out really well. They've had tremendous whiff rates there that we've seen in small sample sizes at the major league level. And now you enter the Trevor Williams aspect of it all, which is this is really what I like most about Dylan Covey. What was the problem the Mets have had since losing Trevor Williams? Is to have that formidable option as a multi-inning swingman type reliever / starter coming out of that bullpen, if not starting some games for 4 or 5 innings, or coming out of the bullpen for 3 or 4. They have Jose Butto this past year, but Butto has proven his ability to be more so that 7-8 inning guy setting up for Diaz, and out excluding playoffs because he was god-awful there. We know that in his first year with the Mets, but that's okay. It's going to happen. Now, when we look at outside the Butto option, the Mets had nothing. They defer to Adrian Hauser to be what he was, and he was horrendous as a starter, had some nice stretches as a reliever in the early goings, and then he gave up there that bomb to Jesse Winker on 4th of July, and the rest is history. I'm over him, and the Mets are over him, and Adrian Hauser's out of here. They make the proper in-house adjustments in season, and they're now doing this in the offseason right away with Dylan Covey. Covey can come in and be stretched out as a starter or as your swingman multi-inning reliever that can eat up also time that is necessarily at times maybe garbage time. Trevor Williams came in both high leverage and low leverage situations for the Mets. Let's not forget, in the case of Jose Butto, how many times was he utilized by the Mets, especially in the first half of the season when he was being utilized as both a starter and a reliever? You know, especially as a reliever, after a couple bad innings from the starter where the Mets are getting rocked early and they need some length, so you bring in Butto. We don't want to do that with Jose Butto because we want Butto to be solely more high leverage if he can learn from his mistakes that he made this past postseason. I get it. That's a lot to handle when you're essentially a rookie still first coming in and not being able to handle the spots. It happens. But now enter Dylan Covey, a veteran right-hander who has had the taste of the bigs. He already has, again, right around 100 games under his belt as both a starter and a reliever. I just love the potential here in the Mets utilizing their in-house talent to the best of their ability and really getting something special here at one Covey. Whether or not that this is going to amount to exactly what we're hoping and what we're looking for in Covey has yet to be seen, but what we do know in the interim is that you're bringing in a right-hander that seamlessly fits in a role that the Mets really don't have. There is a gaping hole there right now when looking at, okay, Hauser's out of here. Butto, you want to utilize more in high leverage than not. You don't really have that right-hander in the pen that can comfortably go out there for 3 innings if you had to, or a starter for 3, 4, 5, and just give you some quality innings. Then you add in the nice late break that he has on these pitches and the horizontal movement that you're going to be getting and vertical movement. I like this pickup a lot for David Stearns because he's given us every reason and then some to be buying in on what he's selling. And if it doesn't work, David will be the first to tell us and will be the first to probably part ways. As long as we don't give a leash the way that we did to Jake Diekman and to an extent with Hauser, I think we're going to be just fine, Mets fans. And as you guys can also see here, just from some further highlights during his time this past season with the Lehigh Valley Arm Picks, he was sharp. And going back to September 13th here, when this was posted by Phillies Tailgate there on Twitter, you know, looking at his stretch as a starter with, or just overall with AAA Lehigh Valley, 12 games, 12 innings pitched, 8 hits, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 15 strikeouts, a .75 ERA, a .92 whip. So again, whether it's a starter, whether it's a reliever in high leverage and short outings, or in multi-inning relief outings, the Mets can get really creative, and they finally have a pitching lab that, as a Mets fan, I can feel comfortable and confident in saying, I know that the Mets are going to get the best out of some of these pitchers. I can't sit here and say that if Dylan Covey gets signed by the LA Angels that he's going to have success next season, because they are night and day in the pitching lab than what they have here cooking in Mets land. That's the difference. This is not the Will Ponzian regime where they didn't know that analytics existed. This is so night and day with David Stearns, with the lab that they built the past couple years, now with David in the fold the past year, and with Jeremy Hefner continuing to do great things there at the major league front. Everything is leading up to this moment for Dylan Covey to just be one of multiple relievers in which you're probably not going to have much of a clue as to who they are, but they will be eating innings for the Mets next season. They will probably be getting us some high-quality outs. Covey is as low risk, high upside bar as you could possibly get when evaluating a major league signing to kick off this offseason as both a starter and a reliever, a true swingman. So Mets fans, that is what I'm going to leave you with. Let me know in the comments down below, how do you feel about the signing of Dylan Covey? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Let me know, because again, at this point, if you're doubting David Stearns, if you're really going to gripe about this, I think you're kind of just being a schmuck, if I'm being completely honest. Haven't we learned enough this past year with Stearns? Even with the bullpen woes that we had, we know we're going to be adding more quality there. This is just the start of a long offseason for the Mets, where they're going to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars. And when it comes to that spending, we will be covering every single move, every single report, every single rumor to an absolute T here on the platform. So thank you guys all so much for watching live, and not watching live, but watching this first, chiming in, or you're watching a couple days later. We appreciate you. Let us know your thoughts down below, and stay tuned for more consistent content all offseason long on the New York Mets. This is your guy Wardy, and I'll see you guys again real soon. Peace out, folks.